Bonjour, peeps. Hi, this is Neshi Lokat. I got something on my shirt. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page for the morning card draw live stream. We do this just about every morning, and today is Friday, August 17th, and it's sunny here again. We had a little rain yesterday, but and it was kind of nice because the thunder beans, the Gamisha Masay nuns came through. That's the grandfathers. We call the thunder in Potawatomi grandfathers, right? And so they came through yesterday late afternoon, and it was nice. I kind of missed them, right? I haven't heard them in a while, and so anyway, today's Friday, and for those who still really get that feeling about TGIF, I'm right there, right next to you. I don't know, maybe it's because it's that mass consciousness thing about Fridays, the start of the weekend, that kind of thing. But here at my house, it really doesn't make that much difference whether it's Monday. Could have the same feeling as TGIF. It depends on what's going on, right? And so anyway, I hope you guys are having a good Friday morning or a good Friday afternoon wherever you're at. I don't think Mervyn Kelly will be joining us in the chat because he is in the States. He arrived, I guess, probably yesterday evening, I would imagine, from London. He flew into Michigan. And so he's probably sleeping, jet lag, kind of stuff. But anyway, I hope he has a good time here in the States, and maybe we'll be able to get in touch with him a little bit and find out. I know he's got a really busy schedule while he's here too. So good morning, Mary Summers. I'm glad you joined, that you're here with me. That's nice. Thank you. August 17th. August 17th would have been my dad's birthday. He would have been 90, let's see, mom's 99. He would have been 90, 93, right, I'm trying to do my math, 96. He would have been 96. Would have been, yeah, he walked on when he was 88. But today it would have been his birthday. Yeah. Celebrating Dad's birthday was kind of a, he didn't have much when he was young, when he was little. And so when he met my mom, the story goes, is that when they got together, that was the first time he'd actually ever celebrated his birthday with a birthday cake and all of that. And so whenever his birthday rolled around, we definitely had the cake and the ice cream and that kind of, because he liked it. He liked it a lot. So so it's a good day to, just to remember him and think about him. Yeah. So today I'm very excited. This may be the only live stream coming from my home office. We're going to be moving back up to the academy to do the live streams and the shows. The carpenters are just about done. I'm going to go up there later. They should be hanging doors today and that kind of thing. The thing is, it's been so hot and humid here that the mudding, on the drywall hasn't been drying as quickly as it usually does for them. And so they've had to extend out their time a bit to get all of that covered. Hey, good morning, Elise. I'm so glad you're here. And so I'm hoping by the end of the day, and Mary Sakowitz is here too. Hey, Mary, is that I'm going to, after probably this afternoon, I'll take all of my broadcasting stuff and get it all set up at the academy to do tomorrow's live stream. And speaking of which, this is the other thing that I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm teaching this weekend and teaching about the sacred geometry when it comes to the Merkaba, and helping someone activate their Merkaba and teach them how to drive it. Teach them about it. And it's nice. It's a private session and so it's kind of one-on-one, and those kind of one-on-one sessions can be pretty deep because you have the ability, the opportunity to be able to go deeper than you would if you had, anywhere between 15 to 20 people doing the same thing. So I'm looking forward to it. It's the first time I'm going to be teaching this material in 5 years, something like that. Yeah. I was sharing the other day that I had been one of Drenville Melchizedek's teachers for Awakening Illuminated Heart. And when Mom was experiencing some pretty intense pain, hard for her to get out of bed, that kind of pain, as I realized that she needed me here. And so I canceled, I don't know, probably 4 classes, and made the decision that I couldn't commit to, or actually not commit. I could have committed, but I didn't. The criteria to keep your certification was to have, I think it was 6 classes a year, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I ended up resigning, but I still have all this information in my head. and so I'm going to be using that to help this person out. They've been looking forward to this, and so I finally said yes. Yes, yay. So I get to teach about sacred geometry this weekend. Yahoo. Hey, Maggie. Glad you're here. Say, ladies. All right, here we go. I don't have a fancy mug today, just a plain white one. Caffeine, coffee, leaded. It's good stuff this morning. We had an interesting morning. Mom has a pacemaker, right? And every 3 months she has to have a check done. And we can do that from here using the telephone. And she's got a little box that she's got that reads the heartbeats and tests the pacemaker, and all that data gets sent over the telephone, or actually the internet now, and into the hospital, right? Which is about an hour from here. And technology has caught up to us. The transmission wouldn't go through. It kept ringing, but it wouldn't go through. And so I asked Mom for her appointment letter, and I was reading through it, and it realized she had the dates mixed up. Her test wasn't supposed to be until the 24th of this month, not the 17th. She thought it was the 18th today. So I could not get the connection disconnected. And so I called the hospital, and they said, "Oh, we can't help you from here, but here's the 800 number for the techs that handle that part." And so I called the techs, and come to find out, we have an outdated unit, and so they're sending us a new unit. And he says, I can't even tell you how to disconnect from that one because I've never even seen one of those. So how did I disconnect it? I mean, even disconnected the telephone line, right? And it still wouldn't end the call. And so I took out the batteries. Oh my gosh. It was one of those times. It's like, I'm sitting there staring at this electronic device thinking, okay, so what do we have to do to turn you off? And so I realized, we got to take out the batteries. But she's getting a new unit sent to her, and moved out her appointment until September. And so it's all good, and I'm looking at Mercury retrograde. We get 2 more days of it, right? At least the intense feeling of it. And then we have to go through the shadow piece. And did it work? No, it didn't. It didn't work. And the reason being is because it's the electronics. We do have cable here, and we do have the internet here, obviously. Um, and the new units that test the pacemakers are only using the internet. They're not using telephone lines anymore. What is that, analog? Yeah. So it's a technological thing. It's a technological thing. And so we just have to get it updated. They're sending us a new unit. So we'll do it next month. She's fine. She's never had a problem with the battery on her pacemaker. Um, you know, she's had a pacemaker since 1986 or 87. And she's never had a problem with it. It's just that they want to check every 3 months because it's hard for her to do the car ride an hour there and an hour back. It's not even so much the test that they would do once we get to the clinic or to the hospital. It's the car ride. And so I finally talked them into this. It's like, come on. This was 90. She was 97 at the time when I did this. Come on, she's 97. You're going to make an elderly person ride in a vehicle that is going to take her 4 days to bounce back from, just so that you can look at her for 10 minutes. And you can get the same information over an electronic unit. I don't see the logic in it, you know, and so I talked to the doctor, and so they finally agreed, though. They agreed, and so that's how she gets it done every 3 months rather than every 6 months, and then having to go in physically to see him. So it's all right. It all worked out, and it was an electronic kind of morning. All right, so today's card draw was an interesting one because I didn't realize that we could be talking about power animals or totems with sacred geometry information, but we are. This is what came this morning. Now remember that in these card draws, the very first card in the card draw sits in the right hand position of the card layout, and the card layout is on the right hand side is the male energies, and so we're taking in the information through our mental mind. It's about mental thoughts and logic, and it represents Grandfather Sky. Okay, so the information that we're receiving comes through the masculine energies. The second card that's drawn comes through the feminine energies, and so then we take in that information with our emotions, our intuition, our heart, and it represents Grandmother Earth. Okay, so Francine Hart, the person, the author and creator of the cards, and I think this is brilliant, is that in this particular kind of card draw is that we are receiving the information in a holistic way, that we are receiving the information through all of our bodies in a balanced way. It balances out the polarity because we're receiving both the male and the female. Okay, and so yeah. And before I forget, I'm going to do this very quickly. Okay, I almost forgot. I forget to do this one is to share it, and I'm going to find it first of all. Where are we? There we are. I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it to my personal timeline. And my news feed. And I'm just going to say I'm live streaming. All right. There's one. And should we send it to the closed group, huh? To the Star Nations Radio Network closed group. And I'm live streaming. Don't you just love the quick buttons? You know, because I've typed it in so many times it comes up. All I have to do is tap it. Live streaming. All right. There we go. Makes it even quicker, faster. And we're going to go to the network close group, and we're done. All right. I always forget to do that. All right. So this is the card that came first, and so this is coming through the masculine way of receiving information. This is the mountain messengers. It's about transcendence. I can't read this morning. Oh my God. Did you ever do that? You're trying to pronounce a word and it's like transcendence. That's it. Transcendence. I had a different word in my head and I couldn't get past that other word. Transcendence. Mountain messengers. And it's about transcendence. Here we go. And this is a very interesting card. There's a lot going on. Hey, Rob Kendall's here. And so is Esperanza. Hello, everybody. Isn't this an interesting card? Of course, we have the mountain lion, which is also known as a puma or a mountain cat. Cougar. And the mountains in the background have faces in them. And stars. Trees. Interesting. When I first looked at this, when I first got the card and when I was looking at it, in an indigenous way, in a pagan way, is that we believe that everything has a life force, has an essence, has a spirit. And so we do believe that things like mountains are alive. They're sentient beings, right? Stones are alive. And so when I was looking at this card, one of the things that popped through my head, but the other one that came through was about the Mayans. There's a belief that the early Mayans, the ancestors, that many of them just disappeared. They were there one moment and gone the next. And the story goes is that even in their homes, it was, like they were going to sit down to have a meal or were having a meal. And that's where people walked in and they found that family was gone. They weren't anywhere. And this is about how there was a shift in the energy field, and there were people, Mayans, who believed and understood how to do dimensional travel and portals and that sort of thing. And so there was a let's call it a contingency of Mayans who, when that particular shift occurred, they went underground. They went into the earth. And that was how they survived that particular shift in energy. And so when I look at this, that's what it reminded me of. If because if you believe in that story, is that they've become the beings in the mountains. Yeah. I don't know. That's what it made me think of. Let's see what Francine has to say about this card, because it's very interesting. The Transcendence. She says that embedded in this card is the geometry of the pentagon. So it's got 5 sides, right? And of course, most people, their mind goes to the star, that's part of the Wiccan. And you can kind of see that, the pentagram down there at the bottom. star. But the pentagon is also part of the geometry of the dodecahedron. And that is represents spirit or prana, right? And so Francine says, this card speaks of power, excellence, of protection, and divine transcendence. She says, listen to the wind, water, and the voices of nature. Connect with the rock people and listen to what the animals have to say. And with the mountain lion, which is also called a puma or a panther, denotes connection to our earthly animal nature and the courage and protection that having this totem provides. The power of this communication may result in a transcendent experience that defies rational thought or conventional experience. You're invited to see nature in this transcendent light and to hold yourself in readiness for the messages that all of nature provides. She also says that when we deny that aspect of us, that we're a part of nature, that we're not separate from it, and we deny that part of us that is animal connected, right? Is that she says that we think we can control situations by using rational thoughts when we deny the animal instinct, our intuition within us. She says, but the instinctual part of your being will go unfulfilled. And so when we hold ourselves separate from Grandmother Earth, separate from nature, that there's a part of us that goes unfulfilled. And I sat with that just for a little bit and thinking about that piece. And really it's about balance, right? Balance and being able to connect with all of our relatives. And what does she call it? She says it's it's the kind of communication that we have with our animal and plant relatives. She says is it's a transcendent experience, and it defies rational thought or conventional experience. And you gotta admit, you have to agree with her in that, because when you have a rock speaking to you, when I have when you're talking to a tree or with a tree, and depending on who you share it with, some of your friends, some of your family will actually think it's pretty cool. It's like, wow, that was a good conversation. And other people are going to look at you and say, what? What did you just do? And yeah. And you can tell who is a part of nature and who still holds themselves separate from it, right? Yeah. Maggie says phone had issue and kicked me out. Oh, I'm glad you're back. Yeah. Yeah. It's Mercury retrograde. We had an issue last night on last night's show. Okay, here's the backstory. Hang on. Right up until almost a minute before we had to start the broadcast. And this is for Nature Adventures, right? I don't know who in the chat room this morning was with us last night for that show, but right up to a minute before I started the broadcast, we were having problems with the pictures. Minnie has gorgeous pictures of almost all of her travels, and she actually got a specific camera to take with her on her travels for her magazine articles, right? And so anyway, she sent me the pictures. It must have been on Thursday. No, on Tuesday. It was Tuesday she sent them to me. And so we were going to do an audio test on Wednesday, and I should have downloaded the photos that day, but I was really busy. And I made the decision to download them on Thursday and do a promotion, a reminder, and using the pictures, right? Oh my God. So I started trying to download them on Thursday and I couldn't access them. I did everything I knew how to get those. And she had sent them through Google Docs. Was it Google Docs? Anyway, that's where she stores her photos, is in Google. And I tried everything. Couldn't get it to go. And she was trying to give me the access to those pictures. Wouldn't work. So finally, because her photos are so large, they're very large files. She finally had to email me them individually. Oh my God, it took forever for them to come up. Anyway, I was uploading them to Facebook, to my personal timeline photos, and to get that going. But right up until, just minutes before we went on air. But that's Mercury retrograde, right? Try to remain calm. It's like, okay, we can do this. Just help me upload the pictures that we're supposed to use for the highest good, that kind of stuff, Yeah. Yeah. So Maggie, thank you for being persistent and trying again and getting back in. I appreciate that. And thanking what your spiritual guides and helping you to do that. Because this Mercury retrograde has been more intense than usual. Usually Mercury retrogrades really don't cause me all that much difficulty, because I embrace and accept all of the gifts that the Mercury retrograde offers and release anything less than that. And I'm usually good to go. Not this time around. I mean, it was kind of intense for a moment, but we got through it. Okay, so remember that this is the card that we got. This is the first card, and it sits on the right-hand side of the card layout. And so we're taking this information in through the masculine energies, through our mental mind, thoughts. Okay? And so, when we're talking about the mountain lion energy as a totem, and it's a big cat, right? And so, in the archetype of cat, those big cats, they do offer protection. They protect their young, just like the bears do, right? Intensely protection. Also, they're very agile, and where they live up in the mountains, they have to have adaptability to the climates, right? Yeah. And so carrying that kind of medicine, that kind of spirit with you, as a totem, means that you can tap into their medicine. They can help you using their medicine. And so to be like cat-like, right? Yeah. Pouncing. So anyway, she says that it's also about courage. But more importantly, I think that this message is about communicating with nature, communicating with our relatives, animal and plant, right? Yeah. And those stone people. Remember the rocks, the stones, they're record keepers, historical. They've watched so much change over the thousands and thousands of years. And so they've watched the region, the topography change, and they keep that memory. And mountains, they hold vast amounts of knowledge. And so the next time that you're or if you live in a mountain region, is to connect to them, because they can really help. They can help a lot. they can help send energy too. Yeah. All right. So the second card that came, I just find this fascinating how Francine uses animal medicine. Isn't this an interesting card? This is Owl Raven. It's about yin and yang. It's about balance of light and dark. But this is a fascinating card. From a feng shui perspective, it's like, holy smokes. I love it. So, you know, she's using the snowy white owl and she's using the raven for the light and the dark. One hunts at night and one hunts during the day. They both carry insight and messengers. You know, you think about Raven, right? And when you think about Raven, what is the one? I think of Merlin, right? That's where my mind goes. Oh, Rob, he says she couldn't zip them into a one file. Um, you probably could, but you know, you have to have a little knowledge about how to save things in those that way. Um, mm, many many doesn't have that kind of technology information, and so walking her through how to do this, and I just went the easy route. Just email me one at a time. Pick out 3 because she had 10 gorgeous pictures of Ireland, and so pick out 3. While she was doing that, I found a couple more that she had used for a magazine article earlier this year, I think. It was earlier this year. So I was able to grab those because I already had them. But yeah, she could have zipped them. We just went for quick and fast. And some people would actually probably say that zipping is quick and fast. But if you've never saved anything that way before, it slows you down a bit. You know, and we didn't have the time. Good idea, though, Rob. It did teach us something. About Google and sharing information through Google. I've never had a problem. But, you know, the one person who sends me all of his stuff that way is Paul Krause. But I think Paul has granted me access to that shared file. Whereas Minnie said she had, but for some reason, Google still wouldn't let me in. So we still need to figure that piece out. And once we do, it'll be fine. We might wait until after Mercury goes direct, though. All right, so take a look at this image again. How many people in the chat are familiar with the yin yang symbol? Yeah, that's the one. You know, it's got the dots in it. It's very feng shui for me. Yeah, I actually, Rob is saying I use both Google Drive and Dropbox. It's good to have a backup. Yeah, it is. And I do the same thing, Google Drive and Dropbox. I really lean a lot on Dropbox. And the only thing I've ever noticed about Dropbox is every once in a while it gets hungry and eats a file. You don't know where it went. It's like, where'd it go? I have to upload it again. So here's what Francine has to say about Owl and Raven. You know, I was going to say, I got sidetracked. Raven, to me, has that, you know, holds the magic, right? Reminds me of Merlin. And the owl the totem for an owl is about being wise. And it reminds me of Athena, because Athena, the goddess Athena, has that owl sitting on her shoulder, right? Talking to him all the time. And so when you put the owl and the raven together, you have this balance of knowledge, and so and wisdom. Yeah, I like it. So Esperanza says that she's familiar with the yin yang symbol, and so is Rob. And it's about balance, balancing the light and the dark, in all ways, in every way possible. It's about balance. And so here's what Francine has to say about it. She says that darkness and light, yin and yang, are opposites in union. Together they represent a balanced whole, each containing a piece of the other. And she says that the card suggests that a process of balancing is at work in your life. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think that we're all looking at constantly finding ways to have better balance, right? Or more balance. Especially when you are consciously walking your earth walk. You when you're not feeling balanced. We can tell. It's like, oh God, I got to get grounded, I got to get balanced, and you should be able to tell when you are balanced, when you are grounded, and what that feels like. And so we're constantly striving for that. Our days and how they unfold sometimes can kind of knock you off balance, right? And then we try to find a way using our tools to get back into balance. Rob says Mercury goes station direct tomorrow. It's the 18th. I thought it was the 19th. Julie said it was the 19th. I guess it depends on what time zone you're in, right? Yeah. Oh, God. Sorry, Maggie. She said, phone did it again. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's probably, I don't know. I'm just glad you're here, Maggie. That you're trying and you're trying to get back in. I appreciate that. I do. So here is the rest of what Francine has. She says, you are asked to look at the way you are living and begin designing ways to bring yourself into balance with your true nature. Movement toward balancing all areas of your life will activate, rejuvenate, and greater joy and freedom. Acknowledge the dark aspects within the light, but truly see your light shining in the darkness. I like that last sentence. Acknowledge the dark aspects within the light, but truly see your light shining in the darkness. I like that a lot. The other thing she says in here is, that reminds me of the first card. Let me get that first card up. She says that you're asked to look at the way you are living and begin designing ways to bring yourself into balance with your true nature. And the first card was actually talking about that as well. Is that this is the first card. And she was saying that to reconnect to nature, to connect with nature if you haven't been. Because when we see ourselves as a part of nature, that we're including ourselves in it, that we have a way of being able to be our true selves, that we're not denying that aspect of us that is a part of nature. And we're actually talk about being whole, right? That we are including ourselves in nature. And this card is saying is that to bring yourself back into balance with your true nature. That's what I got out of this. Is that between these two cards, that today's energy is about balance and recognizing, acknowledging, remembering our true nature. And when we do, we have more access to our gifts, I think. He says, my phone needs balance today. Yeah, it needs something. Rob says, I'm looking it up on the net now. I remember Julie telling me Saturday, which is tomorrow. Oh, okay. It could be. Could very well be. She might have misspoke the date, being using a different source, or it may be a time zone dependent. That's what I'm thinking. Time zone is what I'm thinking it is. And so Francine is saying that when we're searching for ways to bring ourselves back into balance, we have a lot of tools right at our fingertips. Many of us have taken classes. We listen to shows like this, or other shows on Star Nations Radio Network live stream. There's lots of information out there, and we start adding to our repertoire of tools. So what is your best way to bring yourself into balance? Do you have one? I do. I have a couple, actually. I do. A quick one for me is to drink water. As I drink water and I ask Grandmother Earth, in the spirit of water, which is her blood, is to help me ground and to balance. So I drink the water in. Another way that I do is I do the unity breath meditation. Doesn't take long, and practice while I'm standing in line or waiting for something to boil. And so that's what I do. What do you do? Do you have a technique? Okay. Yeah. So if you have a technique, if you don't mind sharing it, because maybe there's somebody out there looking for a technique that can help them. And if you share yours, they can take a look at it, and maybe it might resonate with them and be helpful, right? She's also saying, ask for guidance in leading you away from the attitudes that bind you to division and separateness. See the beauty and diversity and accept the validity of others' opinions. So when you're balanced and when you're grounded, it's not as much of a challenge to hear someone else's opinion about something. It's like, well, yeah, I could see that. I don't particularly agree with it, but I can see it happening that way. It's kind of like that. It doesn't create an event, a triggered event. Okay, I'm looking to see anybody. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm feeling between these two cards, it really is about being in balance. Do it this way. Being in balance and recognizing our true nature. It's about nature. That we are including ourselves in nature, that we're not separate from it, that all our relatives includes other two-leggeds, that humans are not separate from nature. And when we do separate ourselves, we're separating ourselves from Grandmother Earth. And that has a whole line of repercussions and consequences that affect even our psyche, because we feel lonely, we feel separate, like we don't belong when we separate ourselves from grandmother earth. Yeah, it affects every part of our being. And this is saying for us to be balanced and to include ourselves in nature. Because nature's here, our relatives are here to help us. These power animals, they can help us. Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? Maggie says, one thing I do, and she's talking about balance, one thing I do is focus on a blank spot on the wall or ceiling and clear my mind. It's a good one. That's a good one. Years ago, Maggie, years ago, I was a director of a community-based facility for developmentally disabled adults, and their disabilities were pretty severe. Okay. It was an intense time, but it was also a time when I feel like that was one of the most proudest moments in my academic career and also in my first big job, right? Um, because we took it from a grant proposal, which they had gotten the money for, and so now we have to actually create it. So I was part of the creative team to bring it into the 3D reality at the time. This was late 80s, early 90s, and there were times I was making so many decisions about so many other people and things, and at the end of the day I would go home and it's like I couldn't even make a decision anymore about what to have for supper. I don't care. I don't care if we have green beans or corn. I don't care. And I would do that. I would sit and look at a blank wall and clear my mind. Is not think. Yeah. Sometimes Paul would come in and say, "Are you okay in there?" And it's like, just give me another minute. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. You know. And yeah, so I know what you're talking about. Kind of quiets you down, doesn't it? And your mind isn't spinning as much. Um, yeah. My suggestion with that, Maggie, is to when you feel like your mind is calmer, clearer, is to connect to Grandmother Earth. Send down some roots to her. Send down some love to her, and connect with her. That would make your technique, I think, more complete. More complete. Or at least give it a try. See how it works for you. Yeah. Esperanza says, a beautiful hawk flew over me. So close I saw every detail. Ooh, hawk medicine. Hawk medicine. Of course, all my books are up at the academy, so I can't even tell you what Ted Andrews would say about hawk. It was what kind of hawk was it? Was it red tail? A red tail hawk? Yeah. Um, red tail hawks are messengers, right? All birds are. But the red tail hawk, um, yeah, that particular bird of prey has a way of being a totem for a lot of people, a lot of people. And did you know that they share a hunting ground with the great horned owl? They protect their hunting territory, and so the red-tailed hawk takes care of it during the day, and the great horned owl takes care of it at night, and so their hunting territory is protected, and so they work together on that. And when you think about the owl, especially great horned owl, what they offer us in that silent flight, being able to see in the dark, um, wisdom, right? That they've gained from experience. And the red tail hawk is the messenger. They're the ones that can see really well during the daytime. The only one that sees better than the red-tailed hawk is eagle, and so they have really keen sight. And so having the ability to have sight during the day and sight at night. Think about that one. Yep, owls and hawks are like first and second shift. Exactly. Exactly. Um, who does third shift then, Rob? Who do you think does third shift? I'm thinking about that. If we're only doing birds, only doing the those who fly, those who fly. I'm thinking the only one I know is owl at night. Can't think of another one, but there must be one covering third, because third shift, right, is it covers both night and day. Yeah. What is third shift? Like 11 to 7, right? 11 to 7. So that's something we're going to have to figure out, Rob. Who takes care of third shift? Esperanza says, I don't know anything about either one. Thank you for the information. It's significant for me. Yeah, I wish Stephanie was here, because she has some really good online resources for totem and power animal information. And I usually use Ted Andrews' book, Animal Speak. It was written quite a long time ago, but it still has really good information in it. You can also just Google it in and do a search for the spiritual meaning of, or hawk as a power animal, red-tailed hawk as a power animal. Get lots of information out there. Rob says we do 12 shifts in our plant. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Paul just got off from doing, they just stopped doing that. That was tough, man. It was tough on him. And it was, shifted everything here. That's for sure. Esperanza says angels. Oh, okay. Good. Good one. Well, peeps, I think about the information that we received today is to really take a look at how there's three things. Is about balance, about your true nature, to include yourself in nature, and talk to the animals, talk to the trees, talk to the stones, right? And see what they have to say. Include yourself in it. The other one is Francine was asking us to take a look at how we live our lives in unity. How do we do that? How do we do it better or well? Are there aspects of our lives that we encourage separateness and division? And look at that and say, how can I do this differently? How can I be more inclusive? How can I move this into unity rather than separateness? Yeah, because there's we all have aspects of that. It doesn't have to be a huge piece, that you probably don't belong to a neo-Nazi group or a white supremacist group, or a more militant kind of other group. If you're listening to this particular broadcast, you're just not there. Those are huge things. Maybe smaller things, and how we separate ourselves from something. And just take a look at it, just notice it, and ask your spiritual team, is this something that we can bring closer to unity rather than separateness? And what's the best way that I can do that? Yeah. A little introspection. Miranda says angels have wings. Yes, they do. And there is some indigenous group nations that call angels bird nations. They're part of the bird nation, or bird tribe. That's it, bird tribe. Mm-hmm. And Rob says animals don't work as hard as humans. Who is smarter? Depends on how you define work. Depends on how you define work, because they spend a lot of their energy getting food and protection. So okay, yeah. Rob was just explaining the shift work that he does. Yeah. hmm Paul would have a 3-day weekend once a month. And sometimes, when we actually got some time away, when my brothers would come to help take care of mom, we would leave like on a Friday late afternoon and come back like at lunchtime on Monday, and so that he could go to sleep until he had to get up at, I think it was 5 or 6, something like that, to be to work by 7. Yeah, 7:30. No, I don't even remember. It was only a month and a half ago. I purged that, Rob. I purged it from my mind. Elise is saying that's because greed is not a part of their thinking. Well, that could be. That's a perspective. That's a perspective. Something to think about. Because what jumped in my head are horses. A horse will keep eating until it's sick. Oh, that's why they have to measure out the grain and measure out the whatever they're going to give them. When they're out in the field, they're just eating grass, and so they're it's kind of measured in a way, because there's only just so much grass that they can eat out there before they eat it all up. Yeah, I don't know. I work in the office banker's hours. Well, good for you, Rob. Good for you. All right. So have yourself a good rest of the Friday. I am getting prepared for this sacred geometry class and helping somebody activate their Merkaba and learn how to drive that ascension vehicle. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. So enjoy the rest of your day. Please take whatever information you heard about from the cards, from the information, energy for the day. If it resonated with you, yay, grab it, embrace it, see how it unfolds for you today. And if it didn't, that's okay too. If it didn't resonate, it's all right. No worries. You can just leave it alone, let it lie, or you can be a messenger. If you know somebody who you think would enjoy the information, could have been looking for something like this kind of information, just share the video with them, right? You can do that. Yeah. So have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. I don't know how exactly this is going to work over the weekend to do the live streams for this. I might be here at 10 in the morning, or I might be here at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I'll let you guys know. I'll let you know. Because I'm not sure how this is going to unfold for this class, but we'll fit it in. We will. We always do. All right. So until we see each other again, Bamamina. That's what that means in Potawatomi. Until I see you again. Love you guys.